ladies. So we have quite a story to tell you on how we ended up getting here this morning. Oh, good. Okay, so this, as I was saying, this is a perfect scenario for the conversation that we're going to have this morning about what Yehovah wanted to teach Israel and as he took them through the wilderness. So the idea of trusting him. So we have been using, as you know, if you've been following the Happy Hippie Hebrew Girl, you know that we were struggling to find a place for a long time. Landed on a library that we shot somewhere around 20 or so shows and midweeks from there until they kicked me out. And anyway, due to content or whatever they wanted to accuse me of, which falsely accused me of. Anyway, point being is the last 2 weeks we have been in an undisclosed place in town that was open to the public. And now, showed up this morning, I didn't know that you could actually reserve that place, and somebody had reserved it. And so they had it all blocked off, and so we showed up at 10:20 our time to set up, and ran into that massive roadblock. And so we drove around town trying to figure out where to do the show from. And so I prayed and tried to stay calm. And Papa ended up bringing us here to actually outside our old office space that we had last year for a little while. So very, very cool. And not sure if we can do it again here, but perhaps. I will see. I'll talk to the owner this week and we'll see what happens. If not, then you'll see us somewhere else next week. So basically the idea of, do I trust him to provide? In the middle of hard, in the middle of, whoo, I've got just a few minutes, Papa. Do you want this to go or not? Do you want the show to go or not? And if you don't, then that is your problem. And if you do, great, then you get all the credit for finding us a location. So he did. So here we are. And so we got some really nice little chairs today. Yeah, outside the old office, super cool. So Isaac is gonna join me a little bit later. And Isaac, I think we're going to have to turn the camera just a little bit to get all of you in, because I want all of you in. But thank you for being here, Isaac. And ladies, thank you for being here. Yehovah, thank you for bringing us here. And anybody else who is new to the show, thank you for joining me today. So today is May 5. 2018, but it is in the Hebrew biblical calendar. It is actually I think I have that written wrong right here. It's the second month. I believe it's the 18th day, and the year 6018 from creation. I have it written wrong right here, but anyway, I think in Shavuot countdown we're down to 22 days. It's pretty soon. So today, the topic of this show today is, what is the wilderness for? How many of you have gone through the wilderness? How many of you are going through the wilderness? How many of you are deep, eyeball level into the wilderness? We are going to talk about that right now, because we're in the middle of the counting of the Omar. So Israel left Egypt at Pesach, and we start the counting at first fruits. Between first fruits and Shavuot, they were led into the wilderness, and with the goal of getting them to the base of Mount Sinai for the wedding. That was going to happen in Exodus 19, starting in 19:4. But between those, what is it, Exodus 12 or 13 to 18, we get to read about a little bit about what happened to Israel as Yehovah took them into the wilderness. So we're going to spend just a little bit of time. Isaac and I are going to banter on that. And seriously, I have been super busy this week finishing my Shavuot video, part 1. So this show today is not as polished per se with the Prezi slides, which is one reason we don't have the monitor that Jan gave us for the show. We don't have that up right now for that reason, but also because we were running to get here at this moment, so we couldn't figure out how to get that into the screen so you could see it. So we'll do that later, Jan. We'll figure it out. So I think we're gonna just start right now. and get going. Yeah? No, not with you. I'm going to start. I'm going to run through this. Okay, but I have some slides in front of me. So again, Shabbat Shalom. This is Shabbat, a rest day that Yehovah has sanctified. It is the end of a work week. So we're going to divide out the sacred from the secular, or whatever, or however you say that. We're going to divide out the work days from the one set apart day by resting on this day. So Shabbat Shalom, ladies of Teshuvah and your families. I am your host. If I didn't say this before, I think I said it when there was no sound, but I am Rebekah bat Yehovah, and Isaac is here with me, Isaac ben bar Yehovah. If you are just tuning in, I'm going to run through this real quick. We've been married for about 20 years. We've left man-made religion about 15 years ago. We've been parents for about 18 years, almost 19, whatever. Anyway, two beautiful daughters. I've been a Melchizedek Priesthood for about 10 years. We've run Teshuvah Ministries for about 6. We had a ministry before this called the Round Table, but we've done this for a while now. And we've hosted over 200 biblical feasts. And one thing I wanted to be sure to say to you today is Isaac and I have been through the wilderness. And so I feel like we have something to say, we have something to offer your heart as you're going through the wilderness, or you're entering it, or you're exiting it, or you're, whatever stage you are in the wilderness. We have a few things that we want to share with you from our wilderness experience. So we have been through the wilderness and we have survived. Yes, but it's not just about us surviving. We have stories to tell that praise the name of Yehovah, and we're going to tell some of those today. So this is a show dedicated to, and look at this. I wonder if there we go. A show dedicated to transferring your head knowledge into heart knowledge. Yes, I want to help the head knowledge get into something that you walk out and you do with your hands. And it's a show for the Melchizedek Priesthood. It's a show to help you get on and stay on the narrow path of the Melchizedek, understanding the Melchizedek Priesthood. The Melchizedek is a beautiful, when I say Melchizedek, I'm not talking about just a person. We're talking about a restoration of Yehovah's original intent for Israel to be a nation of priests, not a nation with priests. So, of course, there's levels of learning within there. So you don't just say, hey, I'm a Melchizedek priest, I'm going to bust into the most holy place and start serving at the altar. No, he's got to take you through the wilderness. He has to try you and test you and refine you. You have to learn some things and undo some things and get Egypt out of you. And there's a process by which you serve. But the idea is that there's no hierarchy Levitical system now. That's not even available anymore according to Yehovah. So what is available is Yeshua being our high priest and king, and us working for him. So that is this show is dedicated to doing today, today in the after show glow in the ladies group. So if you're a lady of Teshuvah, I want you to, if you can, meet me over into the Facebook group for a little after show glow. And we are going to talk to Darlene today. Super exciting. So we're going to try to do a split screen. And though we haven't practiced, I think it'll work. I think it'll be fine. And we're going to chat with her. And if you make a comment in the feed, then I will then I'll know that you actually watched the show, and I'm going to send you my little free PDF, and I'll tell you what that is in a little bit. So it's the counting of the Omar right now. We are in the we're in the 4th Shabbat of counting of the Omar. Maggie made 4 layers last night for the popsicle that we didn't eat yet, but she did. And so they're in the freezer. We're going to get to eat them when we come back tonight or this afternoon. Let's see. Let's go on here. Okay, so we're going to invite Yehovah's Ruach. So maybe you could put those slides up for me. Yeah, I think I've got... Yeah, Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to say the prayer that Yeshua taught his disciples to pray in Hebrew. We're just learning this in Hebrew. I think it's, if you just scroll up there and just start all the way down. There we go. All right, ladies, so we're going to say the Avinu prayer. It's the Lord's Prayer, what's known as the Lord's Prayer. We're going to do that in Hebrew. We're going to say it together. Avinu Shabasha Mayim Yit Kadesh Shimcha V'yit Barak Melchutha. Wait a minute, I'm way ahead of you. Avinu Shabasha Mayim Yit Kadesh Shimcha. Our Father in heaven, may your name be sanctified. Yes. And then the next slide is V'yit Barak Melchutha Retzencha Yihye Asui Basha Mayim Uva Aretz. I'm going to say it one more time. This means, may your kingdom be blessed, your will shall be done in heaven and on earth. So we'll say it again together. Ve'it barak melchutcha retzencha yihye asui basha mayim uva aretz. And then the next verse is, give us our bread continually. V'titein lachmenu timidit. V'titein lachmenu timidit. Give us our bread continually. And then the next one, Umechol lanu chatotenu ka'asher anachnu mochalim lachotim lanu. And this means forgive the debt of our sins as we forgive the debt of those who sin against us or who wrong us. So we'll say it one more time. Umechol lanu chatotenu ka'asher anachnu mochalim lachotim lanu. And then do not bring us into the hands of a test. Oh, can we say that again? Please, Papa, do not bring us into the hands of another test. Vial tivi'inu lidei nidzion. Vial tivi'inu lidei nidzion. Do not bring us into the hands of a test, Papa. And then protect us from all evil, peril. Vishom rinu mikora. Vishom rinu mikora. Protect us from all peril and all evil. I love that. I love that prayer. Okay, so to sanctify the name, remember, because in there's this action thing. He asks us to sanctify the name. We're gonna praise his name for something. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it out loud, but I want to make sure that you know that this is not just for me to do. This is for you to do too. So. You can write it down, you can say it to the person sitting next to you, or after the show, talk about it together as a family. How can you sanctify the name? How can you praise the name of Yehovah? So sanctifying, it means that you say it, you use the name, and that you do good works in his name, and not just good works that you think are good works, but actually works that he has said are good works. So you want to do that. And don't just make up your own good works, and don't look at the world to tell you what good works is, because they have a plethora of things that they'll try to tell you good works is. Oh, join this cause or this cause or this cause. This is good causes. Who said so? Who said that's a good cause? You know, Yehovah has what he wants you to do, and those are good works. So you want to do his good works in his name, and then to praise his name for something that he has done for you. And this is part of the story today as we look at what the Israelites, as they left Egypt and came to the base Mount Sinai for the wedding, you know, them learning who was going to provide for them. Super important. So I'm going to praise the name of Yehovah today in front of you. So last Sunday, last first day of the week, we had to move the storage unit. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm going to turn it down now. We had actually moved the ministry storage unit into another one because we had an infestation of mice. I don't know, I guess storage units are famous for this. They can come in with people's stuff and they don't know it. And so then they get in it. And so we had a ton of mice droppings and everything in our stuff, so in our ministry stuff. So we had reserved another unit, and it became available. And so Isaac was home, so we went to move the storage unit on last Sunday, first day of the week. And as we were moving, the clouds were rolling in, and we had everything outside, and we had to walk it from one unit all the way down around to the other unit, and we had everything just outside. I was kind of sorting at the same time, making sure that, I didn't have stuff I didn't need and that sort of thing, and everything was in the right spot. and clouds were rolling in. It was getting, really, signs of there was going to be a lot of rain. But we were working there for a solid 4 hours while the sky just held its rain. I feel like, I know it's a silly thing. I know it's like not that big of a deal really, but for us it was, because I feel like Yehovah held the heavens back from pouring the rain on us. Or at that moment we had, fragile stuff out, and we're moving it, and literally it wasn't until we buttoned up the storage unit and locked it and got into the truck and started to actually drive that all of a sudden the rain came. And I give Yehovah all the credit for holding back that rain until we were completely done moving. And literally it was seconds. It really was seconds. We got into the car, into the truck, and he turned the motor on, started to drive, and boom, we started seeing the rain falling, and then pretty soon it was heavy. It would have been a disaster. We would have been running, and we've done this before. I have to tell you, in our wilderness experience, it was a pretty wild thing. We were, for those of you who don't know, we'll tell you about this a little bit later, a little bit of it. We're not going to harp on our own story. We're just going to kind of talk about what we learned. But we lived in a teepee for 4 years in North Idaho, in the woods, in the snow belt. Crazy time that Papa took us through. But as we were moving out into our wilderness and we were losing everything over here, I had one of the last things that I moved up to the teepee was boxes and boxes and boxes of photo albums, like the kids' photo albums, and I'm a picture freak, so I have tons of photos and Bibles that are like photo books because they have pictures between the sleeves and between the pages and stuff, and so keepsakes and all this stuff. And I had all these books, and they were in boxes that were in the back of a trailer, and I was driving all the way up to the teepee, but between town and the teepee, weather seemed to change. Like you go from nice to yucky. And as I was driving up the mountain, it started pouring rain. Not just up the mountain, on the freeway. So I was out in all my stuff was out in the rain for a long time of that trip, and I see what's going on. I didn't have it covered. I saw it, and I was like just crying because I knew that they were getting wet. And I tore up the mountain and backed into the woodshed, right in front of the woodshed, and I screaming at Isaac, and this pouring rain, and him and I just were throwing these boxes of books into the little woodshed that we had, trying to get them out of the rain. And I'll never forget how that was just so hard on my heart, because I did lose some pictures. I did, some of them did get a massive amount of water damage from that, and I didn't curse Papa for that. It was, for one, my fault. I should have covered it, but I didn't see it. Down in town, it was beautiful. So as you drove out of town and you came up, it was like the mountain had its own weather, so it was set against us. I just know it. But anyway, we're going to talk about that, because I think Papa, has ways that are beyond ours, and the idea is to trust him. So anyway, that's one thing I wanted to share with you today. Okay, so we'll just continue right along here. So Isaac, if you could help me here for just a moment, I'm going to have you put the video on. So what I have right here is 5 minutes of the video that I worked on all week long. It's the Shavuot Basics video, part 1. And I'm going to have Isaac play it here. I'm just going to show you this because I'm going to upload it tomorrow to our YouTube channel. And if you're watching this and it's been long since, then you can find this video in the I think it's the Melchizedek Foundation's Moedim Basics block, the feast block. So you'll be able to find it. So this is a teaching part 1 on Shavuot. I have part 2 coming up that I haven't edited yet, but if you're watching this video a long time from now, then it will have been edited and you'll see part 2 there. But anyway, so this is just a little preview of what I've been working on. So So I think, In summary, is a love story in the middle of the great epic war that is going on. It's a love story between Yehovah Elohim and Israel. It is how he has wooed her. It is how he has loved her. It is how he has provided for her. It is how he has made a way by which all humanity can come into being betrothed to his son and have the indwelling of the Ruach to allow them to be able to actually keep the covenant. To, the beliefs in the head change, and then what you do follows new beliefs. And what he's given us is the indwelling of the Ruach to empower us to walk this out, to get on that narrow path. So Shavuot is all about love. It's all about covenant. It's all about salvation and how all of those work together. Your Elohim, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yehovah Elohim, has worked out a plan by which you are saved. He's worked out a way for you to get his last name, to become part of the family, to be grafted in, to get his last name so that you can get the inheritance that is now his son's. So he marries Israel. She breaks the contract. He divorces her so that Israel can remarry the kinsman redeemer who has his last name, who is in line to get all the inheritance, who has the inheritance, who has all authority has been given to him. Everything is going to be given to him. And you get invited to wed through the new contract. You get invited to wed Yeshua HaMashiach in the future. Wed as in a marriage type arrangement is what I'm talking about, where you get to sit on the throne next to him. You get to have think about the rhythm of walking with Papa in a new way. I want you to think of it like a dance. So when you start the rhythm at the first of the year with Rosh Hashanah at the head of the year, and you enter into all these feasts throughout the year, you're doing a dance with Papa. You are with Elohim. You are in sync with them. You are on the dance floor. And so walking in rhythm with him is like dancing. It's like a beautiful choreographed dance that he's inviting you into. And for us to refuse to dance with him, oh, that would hurt anybody who was inviting someone to dance with them, come onto the dance floor and dance with them, would it not? But it sure does hurt Papa's feelings, I think, when we refuse to dance with him. And we dance with other lovers. We dance with other gods on the dance floor. So I think if you are hearing the call to come out of Babylon and to enter into these beautiful feasts and festivals of Yehovah, that you are actually getting invited into the dance. Yehovah, your Elohim, Yeshua, the Ruach HaKodesh, they're inviting you onto the dance floor. And yet, if we get there into his arms and we insist on leading, or we insist on being we want to do a foxtrot while he wants to do a waltz or something like that, we're going to be on different pages. It's the idea is that we need to be focused on him, let him lead, and just say yes, let him lead. Get on the dance floor and walk out this rhythm, dance out this rhythm of the year. And there you go. All right. So just so you know, that is just a 5-minute preview of what I put together this week for part 1 of Shavuot Basics. So the whole thing is like an hour and a half, I think. So I think you're really gonna like it. I was in tears watching it. I just I'm blown away by this feast. I absolutely love Shavuot. It's an incredible feast, and so I hope that you get to watch it here this week. I will put it up, as I said, tomorrow. So that's a lot of work to edit. I've been focused on that. I haven't been able to do too much other besides that, because it's just I get into a groove and a thought and I need to stay with it. So anyway, so for all the ladies who are going to join me back in the Facebook group, and Ladies of Teshuvah Facebook group, and by the way, if you don't know what that is, if you're new to this whole thing and you don't know what that Ladies of Teshuvah is all about, whatnot, you are welcome to join a Ladies of Teshuvah group. It's all about, Teshuvah means to turn. It means to repent. You're going to turn from the pagan ways that we've inherited, and you're going to turn towards Yehovah. So ladies of the turning, ladies who turn, ladies who want to repent and come back to Yehovah Elohim, or who are walking in that. That's what our group is for. So you are more than welcome to join. There's all kinds of neat things on there for you. And one of the things that I do, three things that stand out to me about this group, that why you, if you're new and you're not one of the ladies who are on there right now, even you guys who are ladies on there, why you're in there, there's some cool things in there. Number one is incredible fellowship. We are vigilant about keeping the group clean and healthy, and just beautiful hearts are in there. I really, and I don't say this, very often. I really, really like the ladies in this group. Like, they are some incredible hearts, and granted, you can't see each other, like, we're not dealing with stuff like visually, like face to face, but in cyberspace right now, I just think you guys, their hearts, your guys, the gals, their hearts are shining through cyberspace in there, and coming for each other. Man, what a group of ladies that want to like come for each other and pray over each other, or back each other up, or support each other, and get mad at the same thing, and take things on together, but also support and love and bring new ideas to the group, and bring questions. There's a lot of new ladies there too, so don't think you have to be experienced to be there. You've got ladies from all angles or levels, or whatever you want to call it, of this journey out. So anyway, and then also a part of that group, so you're going to get great fellowship and great connection, but also I do a midweek show that's just for the ladies, and I give away one little free PDF every week for watching this show on YouTube. So you have to meet me afterwards in Facebook to get this. But today, I am going to, tomorrow, if I see your name in the feed there in a comment on the After Show Glow, then I'm going to give you a little holotag PDF for you to print out and attach to hollahs that you give away. So one of the things that my girls and I used to do a lot was, when we make challah on Friday, on the prep day, I would always make an extra loaf, or take one of my loaves, and I would wrap it up and put a little challah tag on it and give it away to someone. And this basically talks about what Shabbat is. It talks about what challah is and the significance of the two. And for somebody who doesn't know why we do what we do, this is a cool little thing. So that I'm going to give you today if you come and see me after the show. So, Isaac, I think I will have you just put up our little subscribe thing just quickly for anybody who is new to and hasn't seen our show before. I would like to invite you to take action and subscribe to our newsletter. If you go to teshuvahministries.com, you can get that. And it's pretty much, it's been pretty steady now. I'll give like an email a day, but I want you to opt in. So I'm asking everyone to opt back in and make sure that they want to be on my email list. So don't go add yourself to the list if you're going to get mad at me in 3 weeks. Okay, because I send you too many emails. But anyway, YouTube channel right here. Just subscribe and like this video, and Facebook. Go to the Ladies of Teshuvah group. Okay, and then the next slide, I just want to ask you if you want to go ahead and hit the next one there. If you want to join us as we do this kingdom work that we're trying to do for Papa, if you would become a patron, that would be super awesome. Or you can make a one-time donation, a gift, an offering if you want to. I know it's Shabbat. I'm not asking for money today, but if in the future, this week, if you've been blessed, if you're blessed by what you're hearing today, then please consider supporting us each month to do this, and perhaps finding our own place to do the show from, or whatever. I'm so used to the wilderness. I know for sure we are out of the wilderness at this point. But I also know, like I was saying to Isaac earlier in the car as we were coming, was that I think that there's wilderness moments that he takes you back to. So you have this huge wilderness experience, but then he actually, I think, takes you back to, do you remember? Are you here? Are you here with me? Do you remember the wilderness? Do you remember what I was trying to teach you there? Are you going to trust me still? So I think there's moments of that. I think we experienced that this morning. There's no place for us. Is he going to provide a place for the show? And he does. All right, so one more slide here, and I don't have a slide actually for you, but basically I have opened up online registration to the Colorado Convention. So just so you know, that there is a lot of ladies who cannot come because of whatever reasons. They can't actually physically come to the convention this summer in Colorado to meet with me, to spend a whole weekend together talking about what the Ezer Kenegdo means and all this beautiful stuff we're going to talk about. So I have called the camp. I cannot air it live, and the reason is they're way too far in the mountains, and they just do not have internet to handle that. So what Isaac and I talked about doing was, what we're going to do is, if I have registrations for this. If I have no registrations, I'm not doing this. But we're going to film it. We're going to film just the teaching times. So there's 7 teaching times. They'll probably be an hour each, something like that, hour and a half. Well, you know me. That might go longer than that. I don't know. Although I have a schedule to follow that weekend. So we're going to record those teaching times, and then 2 weeks later, after we come back from the convention, we're going to air it again with a little bit of live, with like I am right now. I'm going to do live, and then we're going to air the footage from the convention, and you can take part that way. I will send you the workbook the week before so that you can have it there to drool over, but you're not supposed to open it until you actually get into the online conference. So and it starts to roll. Yeah, you're gonna have to like control yourself. But anyway, so that is going to be an option for anyone who cannot actually come to the convention this summer. So if you're interested in that, go to the Ladies of Teshuvah National Convention on Eventbrite. You can find it on our website. There's links everywhere to this. I've put it everywhere. If somebody wants to post it in the feed here, that'd be great. And then we're trying to do this every year, so it'll be annual, hopefully. But we're going to see how this goes. I'll need you to register by May 25th. So I know if you're watching this in the future, this has nothing to do with you, except that perhaps we are still doing the convention and it's annual. I don't know. Check back at our website and see if it's going. I have no idea what's going to happen after this year. All right. Isaac, I'm not sure if the camera's like gonna, can you turn it this way just a little bit? So that, I don't know, is it in the, I'm very visual. Oh, that looks great. Yeah, up there, it doesn't look so good. Okay. So I hope, ladies, you are enjoying Shabbat today. If my girls are watching, I know they are enjoying Shabbat. I think Maggie was going to make some scones. I don't know, and they're going to lounge and watch the show. And what else I think that's what they were doing.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I know. I think Isaac would like to be there with them lounging, but he's here with me because he loves me. All right, so I have a little show and tell for you today, just a little one. And remember, this is a variety show, and at some point I'll have I don't know, lots of different variety. But for today, this is cool. Okay, so here's what my basket. Love my basket. My basket from Israel, actually. You know, we got on the plane to Israel, and I knew I was going to be wanting a basket. I just do. I love baskets. And when I go shopping, and I was like, we're going to go to the market in Yerushalayim, and I'm going to want a basket, right? But I couldn't take a basket on the airplane. I had to have luggage and stuff. So it was kind of not going to happen to take one on the plane, but I found a place on our walk up to the old city, and I got myself a sturdy, wonderful basket. So super wonderful. I love it. But then again, I took it home, didn't I? Well, maybe I just wanted a reason to like get a new one. I don't know. Anyway, all right. So I don't know if you can see this, but I'll have when Isaac comes back. This is an award. Now I'm bringing this and this to just kind of make a point here. So this is the North Idaho State Fair Exhibitor's Handbook. And I just wanted to tell you that to encourage you to do something. This is what I have done over the course of, I don't know, girls, Maggie, how many years have we done this? Like, I don't know, we probably did it 3 or 4 years in a row, but you know all the banners that I've made, you know all the different products that I've made, and the girls' handbooks, or not handbooks, they're lap books of Purim and Hanukkah and the different banners and stuff. They're so beautiful that I was thinking one day, I was like, why don't I enter those into the fair? I mean, the fair has a sewing section, and they have different categories. So I entered my Hanukkah banner, I entered Purim banner, and I entered Pesach banner, all 3 different years. And then they all won awards, and they had thousands of people that would come through the exhibitors' booths to see. Here, Isaac, will you just go take that up close? It's just a little, what do you call those, an award? But what do you call those? Yeah. It's not going to show really well. This is the Superintendent's Award for our grape juice, actually. It's called Superintendent's Award, right?
Superintendent's
Choice. So this one got the highest honor in the juice, the grape juice that we make, in the category for, I don't even know what category it was, but anyway, it had a spot, beautiful, sitting on top of like all the others with all these awards on them. And I have a lot more than this. I just couldn't find them. So I did find this one, but I just wanted to encourage you, like, if you make things, here's a really cool way to like kind of get your fishing, the bait that you use to fish with out there. You can put your stuff at the county fair. I mean, how cool is that? And let people thumb through stuff. Like the girls had their lap books there, and you could open the lap books and you could read about these feasts and festivals of Yehovah, and people could read the back of our juice, our bottle. It was called the Kingdom. Our label's called Kingdom Sellers, and they could see that it's for the bride of Yeshua. And you could read the back. If anyone who's thirsty, let him come to me and drink, and out of it innermost being full of streams of living water, kind of thing. So there's all this opportunity that I think that might be shy on or missing. So if you haven't thought of that, I just wanted to like bring that out in that an idea for you as you're creating things for him. And they're beautiful things, I'm sure. Share them. I've had a lot of people actually, I did have one time, I remember on a banner, I think it was actually Purim banner, that I won like all what's the blue one? First place. I don't know. Anyway, but I had somebody write a note, and I think they pinned it to the back of the banner, if I remember right. Somebody who was walking through, looking at everything, they pinned it to the back of the banner as a note to like get in contact with me. So anyway, that's my idea. All right, Isaac, I'm going to have you play the Royal Teen segment. So kids, if you're watching, this is for the teens out there who are Melchizedek royal teens who are learning to, walk with Yehovah and who are walking in this path with their parents or not. This is just random footage from my girls living in the wilderness as royal teens doing things for Papa. So enjoy. start.
Barakatah Yahweh Eloheinu Melech Olam Hamotzi Lechem Min Haaretz.
Do that again.
That's very good.
Okay.
And then I will move to Jerusalem with my husband and get married and go to Jerusalem. Wait, stop right in that middle. Okay, we pack, go to Jerusalem. And I could do this one.
Okay, Maggie. You have to tell us about the best Shabbat you've ever had. Tell me quickly what you did today so we always remember.
Okay, well, I took a 3.5-hour ride with Casey at her house. No, horseback ride. On Classic.
Where'd you
in
go?
Seattle. We went all throughout Farragut.
All by
Trails.
yourself?
Yeah. So we went everywhere in Farragut.
Mm-hmm.
We raced through the airstrips, cantered through fields, jumped
Went
off
to the friendship
bridge.
tree.
Yeah, went through the friendship poles. Gave a little girl a horseback ride.
Saw an old lady.
Yeah, and then my horse jumped off a bridge.
Cool. We want to do that again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Was that the best day of your life?
Uh-huh.
And it happened today. What day is today? It's Shabbat, right?
It's Shabbat, yeah.
Yay. Okay. There you go. Cool. Yay! So I think that's really fun. I have a ton of random footage of the girls living in the wilderness and our feast experience while we're doing that, our obedience experience while we're doing that. So I might give some more footage later. I might be able to give some more footage later if you're in. Not if you're interested. I'm going to do it anyway because I like it. It's fun. I was in tears. I found so many, like as I was looking through all the old videos and footage, I was like almost in tears because it was such a powerful time. So you know what? This is a great segue into having Isaac join me, and we are going to talk about what is the wilderness for. So did you see kids on there? I mean, Maggie and Hadassah lived in a teepee and had some crazy experiences there, but we always celebrated big. All right, Isaac's gonna come join me. Yay.
Yep. What are you?
Was that some coffee?
Yeah, it's also gonna hold up my
Oh, hold up your phone.
my phone. I got the show on here. It's a bit delayed, but
Then you can check it.
Maybe we can check
Oh,
comments
you can check comments.
as we go through this next
Hey,
section.
that's cool.
If we're able to respond,
Okay.
that will be
No, that's cool.
that'll be cool.
So, just so you all know, I do not have prezzies for this section. This is going to be a pretty relaxed session where Isaac and I just, and you can, let's just sit back.
Okay.
And this is a little bit hard chairs, I think, to sit back in, but we're going to sit back and we're basically going to just chat together about this wilderness experience and what the wilderness is for and what the children of Israel learned from, oh, you like that thing coming out of my head? I can't relax. I'm just like, I've got this visual going. No, what the children of Israel learned, what Yahweh was trying to teach them, what they were going through between Passover and getting to the Great Wedding Feast, or not the Great Wedding Feast, the wedding at Mount Sinai. So what we're doing right now is we're coming out of Egypt, right? So there's tons of us we're the scattered, we're coming out of Egypt,
Right.
and we are going to get to, the goal is to get to the Great Wedding Feast, right? In the meantime, we've got this beautiful Feast of Shavuot that is a kind of a shadow picture of what will be again someday, the Great Wedding Feast of the Lamb someday. But so I think that their experience from Passover to the base of Mount Sinai for that contract making thing that they did there, I think that has can apply. There's a lot of things that we should look at.
Yeah, I think so. And we've looked at it before in the past and saw some parallels
Right.
with our story when we were in it. But then we got to see some new things this time.
Yeah, so Isaac, actually, I love doing studies together. I love because you get so much more I don't know, you get so much more different angles at looking at something that maybe you've looked at before that you can't see what somebody else sees. But in the truck, I called him Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, you're going to be on the show this week. Yeah, he loves me. I said, you're going to be on the show this week, and this is what we're talking about. And that means yes in sign language, by the way. Not I want to bop you.
Oh, yeah, it's not a...
No, that's not what it means.
It means yes.
It means yes. Do a lot of sign language a long time ago. Anyway, so then he read from, we both said, okay, let's read from Passover to Exodus 19 and just see what strikes each of us. So he has a notebook here and he wrote down what struck him. And then he literally slammed in last night and from working all week and being gone to this morning, we ran through it. He read to me what he saw, things that struck him this morning as we were eating breakfast. And so for the second time, we're going to go through it again here with you.
Because we know that many of you are having a wilderness time.
Yeah.
We just hear it over and over. And so hopefully some of this will be helpful. I hear it a ton. Right.
I mean, people are losing their homes, they're losing their businesses, they're making huge choices to follow Yahweh. So it's not, some of it's by choice, a lot of it isn't by choice. It's just situations. So they're just losing everything, losing family, losing connections, losing support, losing church family, of course, losing a place of belonging. That's huge. But all of it, we have to remember he's extracting us out of Egypt. Mm-hmm. And he's got to get us away from Egypt so we can listen to him. And one of the things that when we were in Israel this last year, and I've probably said it before on the show, I don't remember, but one of the things that I noticed was when we went over to Israel for Sukkot this last year, to the land, to Eretz Israel, we thought that the land would be so welcoming and oh, come and live with us, we love you. And no, it wasn't.
Not so much.
No, it almost said, stay away, I don't like you. But I heard more than anything, it was I didn't hear much of anything. I think that was more what I felt over there. So we saw some really cool things, got this massive wake-up call or a reality check, I think, about what it was like over there and whatnot. But I didn't hear anything from the Ruach until we got to the Negev. Until we literally got to the wilderness, I didn't hear much of nothing.
Right.
And we went down to Shivta Farm in the middle of nowhere. Yep. We were scared. I was scared. When we were driving, I was like, okay, I think it's time to turn around. And it was like, okay, 10 more seconds, and then we're going to turn. As soon as we're driving down, and then all of a sudden this little tiny sign, Shivta National Park. That way, it wasn't the farm. So we didn't see a sign to the farm. It was Shivta National Park that way. And so, well, it's got to be somewhere there. So we went that way. In the middle of the desert, that's where I heard Yehovah's voice. That's where I began to hear the rock speak again. And I had wanted to bathe in that relationship the whole time we were there, but for whatever reason, the chariots that clash in the heavens above that place, and all the Muslims and the Arabs and just all this chaos making, I just couldn't hear. So it was striking me, and I realized again, not that I haven't realized it before, but again I realized that you have to go to the wilderness to hear him. Mm-hmm. You do.
Right, and you don't want to waste the opportunity. And if your hearts are anything like ours, then when you're going through all the losses and the changes and all this, oh my goodness, what's going on, then one of the big questions on your heart is, what am I supposed to do at this time? How am I supposed to respond?
Yeah.
Papa, what do you
want
from me or expect from me during this time? So if we can make a little sense out of some of this for somebody, then
that is good.
Yeah, that'll be good.
So what did we before we start into looking at the actual text, I think what I know, I want anybody right now who is experiencing the wilderness or going through it, I want you to remember that Yehovah is up to something. This isn't random. This isn't pointless. This is him needing something from you, and you needing something from him. So it's actually a really cool place to be, honestly, because you're going to see him in action, and you're going to know for sure that it's him. Because and I think we'll get into this in a little bit, but if you can provide for yourself and everything is just smooth sailing, and you have what you say, for your 401k, your bank account's full, your jobs. Yeah, you got your emergency fund all covered, and your health plan is well established and all in place. And you got all your bases nets
covered,
all your nets,
all your safety nets in place.
Yeah. Then how are you ever going to know that he showed up for real? You won't. You can't. Because if you say, okay, Papa, I'll know if you show up if you fill my bank account, or if you fill my safe, or if you fill, do this or that according to your plan, you're still really not going to know, because you have, you have a job, you have this, you have that. You've got it covered. You're able to troubleshoot. But when you lose everything and you go to the wilderness, and you eat out of his hand, it's super clear whose hand. It's super clear that it's his hand that you're eating out of it, and then you know he's there.
Right.
You actually can see his fingerprints, and you know you're not confused. You're not in chaos. You're not cluttered with this, that, and what should I do, and what the world says you need to survive, or what you need, what life looks like here. The world tells you what life is supposed to look like. Mm-hmm.
And not that those are all bad things, and not that we wouldn't like to have some of those things.
No, I mean,
but
we plan on having a home someday. I mean,
right. But when you do, then can you ever really know for sure? And how many people have, for bizarre, crazy reasons that don't make sense to anyone, lost some of those things. Mm-hmm. Their home, their career, whatever. Yeah,
I remember back when we started losing everything, I remember how Isaac kept saying how he had no concept. He's like, how is this not working? Because we had a photography business, and everything was in line with what the world said we needed to do. We were in line with all the other photographers in town. I was trying everything to make it go, and everyone looked at us and said, why is this not working?
I know.
Remember that? It was just crazy. It wasn't like we were, I don't know, he was set against it. And he had a plan, and he wanted to take us to the wilderness, and little did we know, that we had to lose everything in order to go to the wilderness.
Right. So just for context, let's place ourselves, so if we can just place ourselves in the story, get our bearings and see where we're at. So Moses is a type of Yeshua. Through Moses, Yahweh led the children of Israel out of Egypt and took them to the wilderness.
Right.
We're on this side of Yeshua. Our identity that we've discovered now is Israel. We're Israelites, and we've been brought out of Egypt and brought into the wilderness.
Right.
And so
with a leader, Yeshua.
Yes. So this is our story, the story of the Exodus, and this is in the feast times, and in Papa's calendar, this is where we're at in the story. And so that's why we're looking at basically Exodus 13 to 19.
Right. Because we're in the middle of the counting right now. And this is why we're talking about salvation too the last 3 weeks, was because that is this is the path to salvation. You got to go through the wilderness, but Shavuot is all about salvation. It's all about what he has provided for us. So, do you have something you want to respond to?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. All right. So let's just start looking at this because I think it's super interesting. So let's start with, just start going down in Exodus 13:17.
Yeah, so these topics are in no particular order except as they appear in the text. We just did a straight read.
And
through.
I just have to say one thing. This is something before we get to this. I read through it again. I've read through it several times, or not just several, like hundreds. But it's so weird how you can read, and then you're like, something new comes out. So Isaac and I went for a little walk this morning, and I told him what struck me, and he had a whole bunch of things that struck him, and of course I have one thing struck me. So I have to tell you what struck me. Well, actually there's a few things, but go ahead.
Well, remember what you're going to say.
Okay.
If you haven't already grabbed your Bible and opened it to Exodus 13, go ahead and do that, and you can see some of these things in their context and in your favorite translation.
Yeah. So basically, what I was seeing as I read through it, you see all these times when the word grumbling is used. Mm-hmm. But it's so, it never struck me before. And I wonder, like I was telling Isaac, I wonder if the word grumbling here hasn't been vilified on some level. Because if you look at it, they grumble and then they get what they are asking for. Mm-hmm. So I know this is going to just follow me through here, because in this whole time prior to the wedding at Mount Sinai, Yehovah actually takes them into the wilderness where there's no water, and you're going to talk about this in a second, but there's all these horrible things that look like, if you don't come through for us, we're going to die. Why did you bring us here, kind of thing? And so they start grumbling, and but what's interesting is he never ever tells the Israelites in this whole, from Exodus 13 to 19, he never says don't grumble. He didn't say that. Mm-hmm. There's not one command in there that says don't grumble. That's not what he was commanding them. What you do see is this Shabbat command. So he's testing them. I think we're going to talk about this in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But he's testing them. But he with this Shabbat command. But he doesn't actually say don't grumble. And I think, growing up Christian and stuff, I just wonder if there was a lie there that I bought.
I know. If we ever heard a sermon preached on these passages or lessons drawn from it, it was basically the lesson of the manna, the daily provision, which we're going to talk about, and then
don't grumble.
Don't grumble.
And this is something Isaac and I would do up at the teepee all the time. We'd be like, okay, don't grumble. Don't grumble.
Just
don't want to grumble.
Try not to grumble.
But this is the thing, though, Isaac brought out here, is that it was basically not grumbling, or they grumbled. Okay, so they grumbled and they said, I would rather be back in Egypt. So they were looking back. Is one of the things that they were doing that isn't something you want to do. Is you don't want to go be longing for Egypt again. So that's what they were doing, is they were longing for Egypt. When we were at the teepee, I'll never forget crying out and saying, I'm a child of misery. We're children of misery. Do you see us? And so there was, it wasn't grumbling in the sense of looking backwards, but saying, if you don't come through, I'm dead meat kind of thing. How does,
And they were also grumbling, not to Papa, but to Moses. Or to Moses and Aaron.
Right.
And so they weren't saying, Papa, can you save us from this?
Right.
Or here's what we need. But they were saying, Moses, basically, why have you brought us here?
Right. So for me, when I would hike down to the fridge and my boots and be just so miserable, I was crying out to Yahweh for freedom from it. So I was crying out to him for deliverance, and that's something that I don't think that we do enough of. I know later on in the story you see Joshua, you see the 12 spies that go into Canaan, into the promised land, and they go and spy, and they come back, and then they grumble, and then they get more time because they've grumbled and they have forgotten that Yehovah is good and that he is strong and he is capable. So they forgot. Right. That's why they got the 40 more years. But in the originally between Passover and Shavuot, they grumbled, but he gave them what they asked for. And he didn't say, don't grumble. What he said was, keep my Shabbat. And then they didn't. And they were having a problem with that. So anyway, that's what I saw in here during my read, which I'd never seen before. So I don't know. I'm no expert, but that's what I saw. So, that's right. You want?
Okay, so
let's
you ready
go
to start? Okay, so.
Do you want glasses, or are you good?
I'm good. So we'll start. The first thing I saw was in Exodus 13:17. Okay, looking for parallels to the wilderness time that we're in.
Yeah.
When Pharaoh let the people go, Yehovah did not lead them on the road through the Philistine country, though that was shorter. So basically, he took them the long way around.
Yeah, he took them the long way. So that, I mean.
So there you go.
There you go. I think we can just stop right here. He took them the long way. I feel like he has taken us the long way. Oh my gosh.
Take the long way.
He took us the long way. So he's going to take you the long route. He isn't going to make this the short route. But why did he do it? Because it says why he did that.
Basically because if they had to face war, well, he was avoiding certain people, the Philistine country. If they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. Take them the long way around so they don't change their minds and return.
I love that because I see so much in there. I see Yehovah's, like, part of the understanding of his foreknowledge is seen right there. Because perhaps they'll return. So I'm going to do this, but perhaps they're going to do something else. So they might choose this, so I'm going to do this in hopes that they don't. So Yehovah himself is hoping. He's perhaps, like, there's something there that is unknown to him, and that's human beings' free will.
Right. So many of these events are orchestrated and directed, by Yehovah, but he's also looking for choices.
Right.
He's chosen Israel to choose and to make some choices. Right.
I think he can tell, he knows us really well, and he probably knows what we're going to decide, but at the same time, I really believe there's true free will where he says, where we have the freedom to actually, surprise him. We can actually choose something for real and say, Israel could have said, no, I want to go back.
Right, so as we're wondering, how should we be responding? What should we be doing with this time? When it feels like a lot of things are being determined for us, and a lot of things are out of our control, we can say, what categories, what areas do I have choice in? Right. And look there.
That's good.
To know what we're to be doing, and it may be choices in attitude. It may be choices in where we put our eyes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do we have our eyes up? Do we have our eyes down? Are we looking at what man's doing?
Well, yeah, and just like the grumbling thing, like, are we going to look back at Egypt and say that was better? Or are we going to look forward at Yehovah and say, you better provide or I'm dead meat? You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember doing that a lot. Like, if you don't provide Yehovah, then you're literally the one that you're going to kill us. Then that's your fault.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. That's what I would say. Is like, if you don't do something,
Well,
then
and
I'm your
it's
problem.
that extreme circumstance, because in any circumstance, any person in the world, can make choices like that every day. Choose to be happy. Choose, But this is, he's forcing.
Right.
He's taking an extreme measure. To force, some choices.
Force the choice.
Right.
I think that is totally a part of the wilderness. The reason for the wilderness is forcing a choice. It's like almost this same kind of division that Yeshua came to give. Just by his mere presence, he was forcing people to choose. And so Yehovah is taking us into the wilderness to force us to choose him or choose Egypt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just check this one quick. Yep. Okay, we'll jump ahead now to chapter 14, verse 4. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them, but I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am Yehovah.
So this is like, it's not just about us.
Right. There's an element in here. A lot of it is, but there's an element in here that's not about us, and it's for somebody else's benefit.
Right. That is pretty tough to swallow. But it also opens up the story.
Right.
Bigger, because remember how John Eldridge talks about the smaller story of our life? We can get caught into the smaller story of our life, thinking about it's all about us, it's all about our story. Like, our little tiny story is the story. Yeah. And John Eldridge is all about trying to help us to see that there is a larger story that our small stories fit into, and we play a part in it, but we're not the larger story. And so I think that's really important to remember when you're in the wilderness time, is to say, there are other people here that he is moving through our wilderness time to affect other people, whatever it is, however it is he's wanting to do that.
Right, and we'll have, there's, I think, two more points that come up later on the same topic.
Yeah. Well,
so we'll come back to that.
I don't know, I want to sit with that just for a second, because, Pharaoh was the enemy, and Yehovah wanted the enemy to know who he was, that Yehovah was Yehovah, and who was God and who was not, and he was going to do it by, we might talk about this later, but he's going to do it by using Israel as the bait. That's painful. That is so painful to think about, but it's true.
I know.
It's totally true.
Yeah, he took him that long way through the wilderness so that in the route they took, to trap them by the sea, so that Pharaoh would say they're lost in the wilderness, and the wilderness has shut them in. And
so that Pharaoh would pursue them, so that he would get into the water, and bait. Like Israel is bait. I think there's something that makes this story of our wilderness times bigger than just us and just our person. Whatever wilderness time you're going through, it's bigger than just you. Excuse me. It's bigger than just you. There's more at stake. There's more involved. Excuse me. Okay,
should we
probably
stay with that? Finish that topic out with the other ones that come later. Okay, so let's do that. So we're gonna jump around just a little bit. We're gonna jump all the way to the end to Exodus 18:8. So flip over a couple of pages, and
I love it when Isaac.
And this is where the father-in-law comes for a visit. Jethro comes to visit Moses. And so, pick it up in verse 8. Moses told his father-in-law about everything that Yehovah had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and about all the hardships they had met along the way, and how Yehovah had saved them.
Sweet. Okay, so this goes back to what you were telling me in the car about like how there's two witnesses to this and how they both take it differently. So you see Pharaoh and his army takes it one way, and Jethro takes it another way. So Pharaoh and his army, they acknowledge Yehovah, they know who he is, they acknowledge him, but they want to flee.
Oh yeah, let me read that one.
Remember, they want to flee from the Israelites.
Back at the end of 1425, when the waters, we're jumping around, when the waters are about to fall in on them. Let's see. It was verse 24.
It was super cool because they're like gonna.
Okay, he threw the army into confusion, where he made the wheels of the chariots come off. And the Egyptians said, "Let's get away from the Israelites. Yahweh is fighting for them."
Yeah.
So they see Yahweh coming through for Israel. Jethro heard the story of Yahweh coming through for Israel. The Egyptians want to run away. And it says that in chapter 18, verse 9, Jethro was delighted to hear about all the good things that Yahweh had done for Israel in rescuing them from the hand of the Egyptians.
Two totally different perspectives.
Same story,
Same story.
same events, two very different responses.
But Egypt acknowledged Yehovah. That was Papa's goal, was to get Egypt to acknowledge him. It's just, they will know that I am Yehovah Elohim, and so they acknowledge him, but now they want to flee because they're Egypt. Egypt is not one with Yehovah. Egypt is not Israel. Egypt doesn't care about him. But Jethro, his reaction is, "Yay! Praise the name of Yehovah for destroying Egypt."
I know.
And for being with Israel. How cool is that?
So if we're paralleling this story, I'm wondering, like, if we went back into, our story and each one of, every one of our stories, and kind of sifted through the wake of our story, would we find, the people who had witnessed our story or your story or the people who had heard about it, would we see these two different responses?
I wonder.
Some people are delighted
to
hear how Yahweh has come through. Or would we see Egypt being confused and troubled by your story and what you've gone through or are going through?
Yes. Oh my
gosh. Is this confusing some people around you,
Yes. Well, they're not running. I wouldn't say they ran away from us, but I know that it confused a lot of people, and people were judgmental, extremely harsh and judgmental. Well, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you going to get a job? Why aren't you, why are you letting everything fall? Why don't you have your girls in school? Why don't, just one thing after another. Most of it was, why don't you have a job? Why don't you have girls in school? And why are you living this way? Why are you trying to do hard? And so for them, it wasn't, let's look at how Yahweh has done what he has done for you, because every single step of the way of our journey, it had Yahweh's fingerprints all over it. And there is no way that we can tell the story of our journey through the wilderness without praising Yahweh's name. But there were people I remember who were very irritated, didn't want to hear praise to Yahweh for this, because they couldn't see the good in it. They couldn't see the praise. They didn't understand that. All they saw was pain, sorrow, and suffering. And so I feel like our story actually made people curse him. Some people, because what they saw was hard, and they didn't like what they saw. They wanted to see the life of a believer in a happy place. Like going towards the better, going towards comfort, going towards, for them to believe that you were a believer, they thought something was wrong, You're taking it into your own hands. You're like, trying, whatever it be. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
I can name people, but I won't. Who?
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty clear in some cases. And in other cases, I think we never even knew, how many of the authorities and the powers around us of the other systems were confused and
Right.
turned on each other after we left the office. Or I don't know what I'm talking about.
All right.
Who knows?
Let's go to the next thing.
Okay.
That is definitely, that's something to sit with. That's
Okay.
pretty,
Yeah, here's one that I'm sure many of you have already noticed in this story. A point that's probably already well taken. We're back to chapter 14, and we're at verse 14. Okay. We better do 13. Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance Yahweh will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. Yahweh will fight for you. You need only be still."
Super hard. So when you're in the wilderness, he's like, let me fight for you and you be still. Oh, wow. I mean, the ramifications of that goes against everything that Egypt tells us. Everything, what the world tells us is, don't stand still. Go do this, go do this, go do this, go do this, Solve your own problems by getting into this program. Solve your own problems by investing over here. Solve your own problems by taking this course or doing this. But he said, stay still.
Right. Again, he's trying to push this story to an extreme so that it will become clear who is providing, who's saving, who's rescuing.
Profound.
Yeah.
Right. And I think when you look at what the world is telling you to do, then it becomes, if there is success there, then who's the one giving you the success? Is it you? Is it the world? Who is it? Is it Yehovah? I mean, it gets all confusing. But to be taken out. So is this where it also talks about the shoot, I was just somewhere else. Okay.
Maybe it's our next point.
Okay, what's your next point?
Okay, verse 31, chapter 14. And when the Israelites saw the great power that Yahweh displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared him and put their trust in him and in Moses, his servant.
Super cool. Yeah, so you see him provide, then you're going to trust. But I think the trick is remembering that this isn't just a one-time thing. Because, when the whole story of the manna coming every night and then leaving is like, okay, we got food for right now.
Right.
And I have to trust that he's going to bring it tonight for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going to be gone again. So there's no banking. There's no saving up.
Yeah.
It's like, who's the one? It's like Birdie, mouth open with mama feeding. Mm-hmm. But read that one more time, will you?
Yeah, then repeat again.
Yeah, repeat.
Repeat as many times as necessary, I guess.
Repeat over and over and over. Yep, we've been there.
But this last phrase stuck out when I read it this time, after they put their trust in him and in Moses, his servant. So Yahweh was trying to build trust in Moses, or in the people.
In the people for him and for Moses. Moses
was a type of the Messiah, a shadow picture. And now we're Israel, we're being brought out of Egypt, but we're on this side of Yeshua.
So who would that be? Who's the servant of Yehovah? Yeshua.
Yahweh is trying to build our trust not just in himself, but also in his servant,
Yeshua.
Super
cool. This is a Melchizedek way of looking at this. Because we're not trusting, not that Moses his words aren't trustworthy, because he wrote what Yehovah told him to write, and we see the covenant written out here that Moses wrote, but he's saying, like Isaac's saying, in our time, he's identifying Yeshua, Moses is the type of Yeshua and Yehovah,
And
together.
Mhm.
We should be able to trust. And Yeshua is the prophet that Moses spoke of that we must obey.
Right, and we're connected to him through the Ruach, and the prophets make it very clear
Right.
that it is the Ruach moving that brings that in the last age will bring Israel
Right.
out,
Of
and we'll
Egypt.
call them out. So we have to trust that it's the Ruach that's moving us. We don't have a literal pillar of cloud, pillar of fire now.
That's interesting. I mean, because I bet you a lot of people who are going through the wilderness time are wondering if it's a wilderness time. What is it? I see this all the time. Like, I see people being, like, people who are not claiming this walk, who are not actually in Teshuvah yet, who I know they're Christians, they love Jesus or whatnot, and they have lost things. They're in this. Yehovah is giving them the opportunity to go into the wilderness, and they're doing everything they can to fight it, and they will not go. And if they do go, they won't give him any credit whatsoever. They won't give him, like, they won't actually say that the Ruach is moving them out of Egypt into being a part of Israel. I mean, those words just will not come out of their mouth. You know what I'm saying? So that's really cool.
Yeah.
The Ruach is the one that is going to. So if you're feeling you're being moved out of Egypt, or you're losing everything, and you feel like you're going into a wilderness time, this is the Ruach. This is the Ruach moving in your life to set you free from everything that you need set free from, so that you can go out and be basically born again, go through the water, go through into the wilderness, so that you can hear Yehovah speak to you, so you can get your trust so you can gain trust in him, and he can trust you, so that you can actually get to Shavuot, which is is symbolic of, it's the great wedding feast to come. So Shavuot is where you want to be, that wedding, which is what I talk about in my video to come. But
Right, and one of the things he's trying to set us free from, is that traditional Christian idea of what a blessed life looks like.
yes. What does a blessed life look like? Oh my gosh. Does it look like you have a pantry full of food? Does it look like you have a bank account that has just enough to cover you for 3 months? Does it look like you have a security plan, or do you have like a backpack at the door with $2,000 worth of equipment in it, so that when stuff hits the fan, you can grab it and run, and you have an escape route? I mean, what does blessed actually look like? Blessed actually looks like he sees you and has you right where he wants you, and if that is in the wilderness where he's feeding you one day at a time, you're being blessed. Man, that goes against everything that we're taught in the world. Everything that the world says is right, is good, what we need to live or survive or whatever, it flies in the face of all that. That's Egypt. I love that.
Me too.
So that's super cool. Well, okay, so just one thing before I remember saying, do you remember this? I remember saying when we were being cut free, and maybe you feel like this, I don't know, but when we were being cut free, I felt like I was a hot air balloon. And you know how a hot air balloon has like all the strings of ropes, the tethers that hold it down to the ground, right? And all it wants to do is fly, but it can't fly because it's tethered down. And I remember when we were losing everything, and we were happy to lose it, by the way. I just want you to know, this wasn't Yehovah ripping things away from us. He was taking things away from us, but we did the free fall. We threw our hands back and said, we're not going to try to troubleshoot this. And we let go. And when we let go is when he started to cut the tethers on this balloon. And I'll never forget, one tether was gone. It was public school. And then it was, oh my gosh, just the house. We got freed from the loan, by that short sale. And everything just cut. People, relationships, different entities, systems that we were cut free from. And then there was this last one It felt like this last tether that was holding the whole balloon down. It was just this, it was so painful.
Mm-hmm.
And man, when he cut that, felt like, oh, it was such freedom. But here, what I want to do is I want to stop right here, and I want to, don't you stop, you stay here. But I'm going to get up and I'm going to show you 2 clips from our time at the teepee. And I just have 2 little tiny clips that I want to show you real quick, just to kind of set this. I just want to show you kind of what our wilderness time kind of sort of looked like. These are just 2 small little clips, and I will do that while you're sitting.
Okay.
See if I can figure out how to do this. All right. So.
Are they in there? Scroll down.
Yeah.
To see if they're at the top.
Maybe not. Oh. I think I need my glasses.
Oh, here you go.
And then, when there is no sun, it's pretty. Actually, it's very pretty. Big flakes. I don't think you can see them, but there's big flakes. Okay. Okay, so that was our life up there on the mountain, and that's what we did for 4 years. I just wanted to show you that because I think in context that's important to understand where we're speaking from, the context of what we're speaking of, our wilderness time. Those are just 2 shots. One was coming out of the teepee onto the property during the heavy duty winter, and the other one was I just showed a peek into the teepee itself. Now I have a lot of pictures online that are beautiful glamour shots because it's kind of glamour camping, but that was a reality. And I didn't take a ton of pictures like that. I didn't take a ton of video from that perspective because it was too painful.
Mm-hmm.
It was too hard. The first winter I hardly even remember. I think I have just a handful of pictures from that first winter. But I only remember that winter basically primarily because of those pictures, because it was so hard. I mean, to live outside in, in weather that you're not meant to live outside in, and literally with canvas between us and all the weather of 4 winters with little girls. It was definitely a trying time, but I have to say that we were so happy to be there because I knew he wanted us there. There was no, I wouldn't want to be at the time. This isn't just looking back on it. At the time, even though I cried out to him in misery and cried out to him in pain and wanted deliverance from it, I wanted to be right where he was, and we saw him continually providing. I mean, this was like, you have to understand, this is providing wood for that next day kind of thing. And he pushed us. Remember how he pushed us through Shabbats? Mm-hmm. Because remember, part of the story of coming out of Egypt to the wedding feast was the one command. I think there might be one or two, but I think the primary command that he gave them was keep my Shabbat. And he emphasized that by saying on, this manna thing, I'm going to give you double manna on Friday, and you're going to trust me. You're going to have 2 Omers each. Right. And there'll be nothing on Shabbat. So it didn't get full of maggots or anything, because he wanted to teach them. The Shabbat was his law and his very important Moedim. And we're going to get to the mark thing in a second, right?
That's next.
Awesome. Okay. But here's the thing, is like for us, it was like we'd come to, prep day and, have either punky wood that, what I mean by that is a wood that's really rotten and didn't burn very well, didn't burn very hot. And we would come to Shabbat and there would be no wood. Mm-hmm. I mean, no wood means no fire. No fire means no heat. No heat, no fire means no hot water. It means no food, really. And you basically, so the idea is he pushed us, but we at the time were like, not touching that. We are going to obey at all costs, which means, okay, so we don't have the right wood, so we'll get in the car and we'll turn it on and we'll stay warm that way. We'll go for a drive. We'll try to find a friend's house if we had to, or we'll bundle up, or we'll be active, or whatever it be, and then as soon as sun sets, then we deal with it. But he pushed us to say, do you trust? Because, and then after we kept Shabbat, as best as we rested, because all week long we're doing wood. All week long we're chopping wood. You don't go out and get wood on Shabbat when you've been chopping all week long. And so we rested according to what he said to do. And so then he would always bring something the next day. Mm-hmm. But that was a handful of times. Most of the time it was before. Like he would provide on Friday for us to have a beautiful Shabbat. But
when it did happen, we noticed it.
We did notice it. Because we were so feeding from him. It was like we were opening our mouths and he was feeding, and if he didn't feed, we noticed it. And when he fed, we noticed it. It wasn't us doing it. When good things happened, we knew it was him. When bad things happened, we were like, okay, we want deliverance. Okay, the whole thing was hard, but anyway.
The videos are good because they really show almost the whole place. Yeah. And you may not have noticed, but I have to point out, with the TP video, you may have been able to hear a generator running in the background.
Oh, yes.
That was actually a pretty rare occurrence. Mm-hmm. But whenever we did happen to have the generator on for some reason, that's when we could turn on all those lights in the TP.
That's true. Yeah.
I think just do not disturb.
I honestly don't know what's happening. It says right here, it says that stream status is good, but I just made a new feed, right? I don't know what just happened.
Well, hopefully all will end well.
Okay. So we're gonna continue this just a little bit and then get over into the Facebook group. Yeah, look at, I don't understand. I made a new, okay. All right, where were we? What is it we need to totally finish?
Where were we? Okay, you played the video from the property.
Right. And you were saying videos are good because videos show, the light.
I was talking about the light.
The light.
And how it was actually probably too dark in the teepee during that time
Right.
to show up on film.
Right. So that's why you saw light in the teepee, because we had the generator on.
Right.
Let's go to the mark thing.
Okay.
I like
So, all right. Let's jump to, this is Exodus 15. We're headed for verse 16. Let me see.
Let's do that, and then I think
Okay, and this is in what they call the Song of Moses. So it's kind of, it starts out in a past tense, talking about what just happened to the Egyptians, in the sea, but then it jumps into a kind of a future tense in this song that's praising Yehovah. So Exodus 15, down in verse 16, by the power of your arm, they will be as still as a stone until your people pass by, O Yehovah, until the people you bought pass by. You will bring them in and plant them on the mountain of your inheritance, the place, O Yehovah, you made for your dwelling. And it was that phrase at the end of verse 16, the people that you bought.
that you bought. Well, also the place where it says that they will be as still as stones, and then until your people pass by, but the people that pass by, he's clarifying the people that you bought. So we were talking about this earlier, in that the people he bought, he didn't buy Israel back here, because he didn't purchase them from Pharaoh. He destroyed Egypt and took them, but he bought Israelites now through Yeshua's blood. He bought us with Yeshua's blood, and so that is pretty cool.
Well, there was the covenant with Abraham where they exchanged offspring.
But he didn't
or
buy
firstborn.
them from Pharaoh.
Right. But
Maybe it's a future
this
thing.
phrase
Maybe it's
so stuck out to me today. The people that you bought. He has a possession. The next verse talks about the mountain of his inheritance. He has a possession.
So he bought, and we are his
And
possession.
so the question is does he mark what is his?
I thought that was great, because as soon as Isaac said that this morning, I was thinking of when cows get branded, and how a rancher will brand his cows. He'll mark his cows, and that hurts. Like,
Right. There's
mark.
something happening to
But-
us.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
Something happening.
that's permanent.
It's yeah. Oh, you go through the wilderness and you're permanently changed. Absolutely. But here's the other thing that I was thinking, is when you said that, I was thinking of back at creation when he says, these are for signs and seasons, and the words are Oeth and Moedim meaning appointments. So he sets the heavens as they are, the stars, moon, and the sun, in the sky for Moedim and for Oeth. And what is Oeth?
Right.
Oeth is actually, it's a mark. It means a mark. It means like a banner. It means it's like a military kind of thing. And so here you have the Moedims, the Shabbats, are this mark. And it's very clear in the story between Passover and Shavuot. He's like, you must keep my Sabbath. He doesn't say anything about not grumbling. He says, keep my Shabbat. And so here you have this mark. It's a branding. Absolutely. I think this is one of the biggest takeaways from our talk today.
Right.
Is that going through the wilderness is going to get you out into the presence of Yehovah, away from everyone else, away from all the chaos making, away from Egypt. You're only going to be able to listen to him, and he is going to be feeding you a little bit at a time, so that you know that he is faithful, that he is true, that he is all powerful, that he is who he says he is, and that you can trust him. And then he can trust you if you keep his Shabbats, if you keep this sign, if you keep this mark. He's gonna impress this on you, and it's gonna be painful, but you will be forever changed coming through this wilderness time.
Right.
How cool.
I know.
That's pretty powerful.
I know. So let's if we're finishing up, let's jump to the end of chapter 17, verses 14 and 15, 16. Yeah. This is after another really dramatic event where Yahweh comes through for the people, and where it becomes clear that it's him. And then afterwards, the Lord said to Moses, "Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven." And Moses built an altar and called it, "Yahweh is my banner." He said, "For hands were lifted up to the throne of Yahweh."
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So he's This is one of your favorite.
It's
in
my
this whole thing.
favorite because
remember. People, you keep forgetting Israel. You're going to remember. So you're going to remember this moment that I did this for you. You can remember that I not only, gave you freedom from the enemy at that moment, but you're going to remember that in the future, I'm going to destroy Amalek forever. All the enemy's going to be gone. You're tearing up.
is this going to happen on every show?
I don't know, baby.
What is it? What are you people doing to me? It's that one little phrase when after Yahweh says, "Write this on the scroll," and he says, "And make sure that Joshua hears it."
Oh. Yeah.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows the path that we're going down.
Yeah.
He knows it's hard. He knows it's going to be hard. And he knows we're going to need these stories later.
Yeah.
He knew Joshua was going to need, to hear this story told again. Yeah. Even though he was right there in the middle of it, leading the whole battle. This was Joshua's, was leading that one. But he was going to need this story later.
Yeah. And this is and Isaac has me tearing up too, because, 4 years of our life in a really desolate wilderness, but terribly blessed wilderness, very, very blessed wilderness, because he was there. And it was like story after story after story. And so this is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about what I do, is I have to write these things down or we will forget.
Right.
And we must remember what he has done
for
Israel in the past, which is beautiful starting point. Right. And to always fall back on, if you feel like there's nothing happening in your life, fall back on that and just say, I know that he did this for them. I'm going to, but then you can fall back on your own stories.
Right. So if you're wondering, again, if we're wondering what to do with this time, it's, try not to forget the whole thing. The trauma of it might erase some of it, but try not to forget and write some stuff down.
Yep, and remember.
It's just a few notes, a few pictures.
Right.
And also just know that Papa sees, and he knows. He knows it's hard.
He does, and he loves you. And it's his wilderness that he's taking you into so that he can work his purposes. And that biggest purpose is so that you look directly at him and only at him, so that you can go away from the wilderness at some point and actually go into the inhabited spaces,
and
right?
That's right.
What you were going to go. And we're going to end on this note.
This is where we're going to end. Is in
because you are going to get out of the wilderness. It is going to end.
15, at the end of chapter 15.
This is a time of testing. It's a time of being refined so you can hear your Elohim. But yeah, this is pretty cool.
For 3 days, they traveled in the desert without finding water. And then they came to Mara, but they could not drink the water because it was bitter. Skip ahead a couple.
So he takes them to somewhere he knows they can't drink. Oh.
I know. I know, they were following him everywhere, and he took them someplace where there was no water, and then he took them to a place where there was water, but they couldn't drink it.
Yeah, but I like what happens after this.
And then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and they camped there near the water.
Yes. And then later on in the story, talks about how he brings them into an inhabited place. So the wilderness, it will end. It's not here forever. But yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that was...
purposefully takes them to a place where he knows they're not going to get water.
Yeah, that was 1635. The manna was like daily, the everyday thing, and they had to depend on it. And it probably came out their ears, and they ate it for 40 years, which we were going to talk about how...
They didn't have to spend 40 years.
Intend, maybe.
Right. So
for it to be that long.
One last point we need to make is it wasn't intended for them to stay there for 40 years. The 40 years came after the spies went into Canaan, and they came out, the 12 spies, and they were in there for 40 days, and they caused, every doubt in Israel's mind except for Joshua and Caleb, and they got 40 years, one day for every single day they were in, 1 year for every single day they were in Canaan spying on the land. So, yeah.
But the Israelites ate manna for 40 years until they came to a land that was settled.
Was settled. That's right. That's the word, settled. So you will come to a land that is settled.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's okay for that wilderness time to come to an end. It's not forever.
It's not forever. And on the other side, when you come out of the wilderness, we're not in that wilderness. We're not in a teepee, but we're not exactly where we want to be someday either. It's beautiful. Our life is being blessed because we see the hand of Yehovah. So we're changed from the wilderness. Now we open wide, and whatever he wants to give us, we've been there, we've done that, we can do it again, but we see little moments of wilderness time, choices, moments of a wilderness time that comes to us, and we have to make a choice. What are we going to choose? And I'll choose him every single time. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for joining Isaac and I today on the show. I'm sorry that we got cut out there for a little bit. I'm actually feeling this is a little miracle going on right here because I've got the screen up there scrolling, so I don't know how this is actually happening. But anyway, just wanted to pray Yehovah's blessings on you and invite the Ladies of Teshuvah back into the group. We're going to go over there for a few minutes and talk to Darlene. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out here if I can actually stop this feed. I don't really know, so I will try. But you have a wonderful Shabbat, and may your wilderness time be blessed with Yehovah coming through for you, even if it's in little tiny, tiny things. If you see him working and you're, oh my gosh, it's the King of the universe. If you see him do something and he's marking you, praise Yehovah for doing that, because in the end, you're going to get to that happily ever after, and you're going to get to partake in the wedding feast of the Lamb. All right, here we go. See if I can do this. Stop the stream.